Private Marcus Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he adjusted his position behind the Barrett M82A1 rifle. The Afghan sun beat down mercilessly on the observation post, and the thin mountain air made every breath feel like a struggle. At 22 years old, Marcus was the youngest member of the sniper team, stationed at Forward Operating Base Thunder, nestled high in the rugged mountains of Helmand Province. "Chen, you're daydreaming again," Sergeant First Class Rodriguez called out from his position at the spotting scope. "Keep your eyes on Sector 7. Intel says we might have movement today." Marcus nodded and refocused on his assigned area. He had been deployed for only 6 weeks, fresh out of sniper school at Fort Benning. While his marksmanship scores had been impressive during training, real combat was entirely different. The other snipers in his unit treated him like the rookie he was, giving him the easier assignments while they handled the more complex missions. Staff Sergeant Williams, the team leader, crawled over to Marcus's position. Williams was a veteran with 3 combat deployments and over 40 confirmed kills to his name. His weathered face showed the strain of years spent in the crosshairs. "How you holding up, Chen?" Williams asked, settling beside the young sniper. "Good, Sergeant. Ready for whatever comes," Marcus replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. Williams studied the rookie for a moment. "You know, when I was your age, I thought I knew everything about being a sniper. Thought the school had taught me all I needed to know." He paused, scanning the valley below through his binoculars. "Combat teaches you different lessons." Before Marcus could respond, the radio crackled to life. "Thunder Base, this is Recon 1. We have eyes on a high-value target approximately 3,000 meters northeast of your position, requesting immediate sniper support." Williams grabbed the radio handset. "Recon 1, Thunder Base. What's the situation?" "We've identified Khalid Hassan, wanted terrorist leader. He's moving with a small convoy through the mountain pass. This is our chance to take him out, but the range is extreme. Do you have someone who can make the shot?" Marcus felt his heart rate spike. Khalid Hassan was one of the most wanted men in the region, responsible for numerous attacks on coalition forces. A shot at 3,000 meters would be incredibly challenging even for an experienced sniper. Williams looked at his team. Corporal Martinez was down with a stomach bug. Sergeant Johnson was on leave. That left only Rodriguez and himself as the experienced shooters, but Rodriguez was better suited as a spotter, and Williams had been dealing with a shoulder injury that affected his precision. "What's the wind condition?" Williams asked into the radio. "Variable crosswinds, approximately 8 to 12 miles per hour. Target is stationary but may move at any time." Marcus cleared his throat. "Sergeant, I can take the shot." Williams turned to look at him with surprise. "Chen, this isn't a training exercise. 3,000 meters is beyond what most snipers ever attempt in combat." "I know, Sergeant. But my longest confirmed hit in training was 2,800 meters. I can do this." Rodriguez overheard and shook his head. "Kid, training and combat are 2 different animals. You're talking about a shot that would put you in the record books." Marcus understood their concern, but something inside him felt certain he could make this shot. During training, his instructors had noted his exceptional ability to read wind patterns and calculate complex ballistics. More importantly, he had an almost supernatural feel for long-range shooting that couldn't be taught. Williams studied the young sniper's face, seeing something there that reminded him of his younger self. "Rodriguez, get on the spotting scope. Chen, this is your shot, but you follow my lead exactly. Understood?" "Yes, Sergeant." Williams radioed back to Recon 1. "We're taking the shot. Give us your exact coordinates and target description." As the information came through, Marcus began his mental calculations. 3,000 meters meant the bullet would travel for over 3 seconds. At that distance, he would need to account for the Earth's rotation, temperature variations, humidity, and multiple wind patterns along the bullet's path. Rodriguez adjusted the spotting scope and began calling out environmental data. Wind at our position, 5 miles per hour from the west. Temperature, 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity approximately 30%. Marcus made fine adjustments to his scope, setting the elevation for the extreme distance. The Barrett M82A1 was designed for such long-range work, but asking it to deliver precision at 3,000 meters pushed the limits of both rifle and shooter. "Chen, walk me through your calculations," Williams ordered. Marcus took a deep breath and began reciting his math. Bullet drop at 3,000 meters will be approximately 640 inches. Wind drift, factoring in the crosswind and the bullet's 3.2-second flight time, will push it approximately 18 inches to the east. I'm compensating for the Coriolis effect, which at this latitude and distance will deflect the bullet approximately 4 inches to the right. Williams was impressed despite himself. The rookie's calculations were more thorough than those of snipers with years of experience. "Target acquired," Rodriguez announced. "Black SUV, second vehicle in the convoy. Target is standing beside the passenger door, approximately 6 feet tall, wearing traditional robes and a white head covering." Marcus peered through his scope and found the target. At this distance, the man appeared as little more than a tiny figure, almost like a toy soldier. The convoy had stopped in a mountain pass, likely for a planned meeting. "Range confirmed at 3,050 meters," Rodriguez called out. "Wind at target location appears to be different from our position. I'm seeing movement in the vegetation that suggests 10 to 12 miles per hour from the northwest." Marcus made another adjustment to his scope, accounting for the different wind pattern at the target location. This was the most challenging aspect of extreme long-range shooting, reading environmental conditions along the entire bullet path. Williams positioned himself beside Marcus. "Remember your breathing. Control your heart rate. This shot represents everything you've trained for." Marcus nodded and settled into his shooting position. He had fired thousands of rounds in training, but this moment felt different. The weight of the mission, the extreme distance, and the knowledge that his target was responsible for the deaths of countless innocent people all combined to create an intense pressure. "Chen, you don't have to do this," Rodriguez said quietly. "No one would blame you for passing on a shot like this." Marcus thought about his reasons for becoming a sniper. His older brother had been killed in Afghanistan 2 years earlier by an improvised explosive device planted by Hassan's organization. This wasn't just about proving himself as a rookie. It was personal. "I've got this," Marcus said with quiet confidence. He began his breathing pattern, inhaling slowly and letting half the air out before holding. His pulse, which had been racing, began to slow as he entered the meditative state that all great snipers learn to achieve. Through his scope, he watched Hassan gesturing to other members of his group. The terrorist leader had no idea that 3,000 meters away, a 22-year-old American soldier had him in his crosshairs. Rodriguez provided final updates on wind and atmospheric conditions. Williams monitored the radio for any changes in the tactical situation. Everything depended on the next few seconds. Marcus made his final scope adjustment, accounting for every variable he could calculate. The shot would require perfect execution of everything he had learned, plus a measure of luck that all long-range snipers understood was part of the equation. "Wind steady at 12 miles per hour, Rodriguez whispered. "Target is stationary." Marcus found his natural respiratory pause and began applying pressure to the trigger. Years of training had taught him to fire at the natural pause between heartbeats, when his body was most stable. The Barrett M82A1 roared, sending the 50 caliber round downrange at over 2,800 feet per second. Marcus maintained his position, watching through the scope as the massive rifle's recoil was absorbed by the bipod and muzzle brake. For over 3 seconds, the 3 snipers waited and watched. At this distance, they would see the impact long before they heard it. Marcus held his breath, knowing that any number of variables could have affected the bullet during its long flight. Through his spotting scope, Rodriguez suddenly straightened. Holy, I can't believe it. Williams grabbed his own binoculars and focused on the target area. Did he hit? Not just hit, Rodriguez said with amazement in his voice. Dead center. Hassan is down. Marcus felt a surge of adrenaline and disbelief. He had actually made the shot. Through his scope, he could see the chaos erupting around the convoy as Hassan's men realized their leader was down. Williams grabbed the radio. Recon 1, target is neutralized. Repeat, Hassan is confirmed down. The radio exploded with excited chatter as word of the successful engagement spread through the command structure. Marcus continued to watch the target area, providing security as Hassan's convoy scattered in confusion. Chen, do you realize what you just accomplished? Williams asked, clapping the young sniper on the shoulder. Marcus was beginning to understand the magnitude of what had happened. A 350-meter kill was beyond the confirmed record for most military snipers. For a rookie with only 6 weeks of combat experience, it was almost unbelievable. Rodriguez was already on the radio, reporting the details to higher command. Thunder Base to all stations. We have a confirmed kill at 3,050 meters. Target was Khalid Hassan, high-value target number 3 on the regional watch list. Within minutes, the radio was buzzing with requests for confirmation and details about the shot. News of the rookie's achievement was spreading rapidly through the entire theater of operations. Marcus carefully safed his weapon and began the methodical process of documenting the engagement. Every detail would need to be recorded for the official report, from environmental conditions to ammunition used. Kid, you just made history, Rodriguez said, shaking his head in amazement. When this gets back to the Pentagon, they're going to want to know everything about how you pulled this off. Williams was equally impressed but also concerned about his youngest team member. Chen, how do you feel? That was an incredible shot. But taking a life, even someone like Hassan, affects different people differently. Marcus considered the question seriously. I feel relieved, I guess. Hassan was responsible for a lot of deaths, including my brother. I'm glad he can't hurt anyone else. The team leader nodded approvingly. Many young snipers struggled with the psychological impact of their first kill, but Marcus seemed to have a mature perspective on the realities of their mission. As the afternoon progressed, higher command requested increasingly detailed reports about the engagement. Marcus found himself answering questions from officers he had never met, all wanting to understand how a rookie had managed such an extraordinary shot. By evening, word had reached the highest levels of military command in Afghanistan. Marcus received a radio call from Colonel Davidson, the regional commander, personally congratulating him on the successful mission. Private Chen, what you accomplished today represents the finest tradition of military marksmanship, Davidson said over the radio. Your shot eliminated one of our most wanted targets and likely saved countless lives. Marcus felt overwhelmed by the attention and praise. Just that morning, he had been the unit rookie, still proving himself to his teammates. Now, military officials across the region were discussing his achievement. Rodriguez clapped him on the back. Chen, you're going to be famous. A shot like that at your age and experience level is going to make waves all the way back to the States. As night fell over the mountains, Marcus reflected on the day's events. He had joined the military to honor his brother's memory and to make a difference in the fight against terrorism. In one moment, with one perfectly placed shot, he had accomplished both goals in a way he never could have imagined. Williams approached him as he cleaned his rifle. Chen, tomorrow we're going to have visitors. Word is that some very important people want to meet the rookie who made the impossible shot. Marcus looked up from his weapon maintenance. What kind of visitors, Sergeant? The kind that don't usually come to forward operating bases unless something very special has happened. Williams replied with a knowing smile. Get some rest, kid. I have a feeling your life is about to change in ways you never expected. As Marcus settled into his sleeping bag that night, he could hear the other soldiers in the unit talking quietly about his achievement. The rookie sniper who had been struggling to prove himself just that morning was now the subject of amazed conversations throughout the base. He closed his eyes, still processing the reality of what had happened. In the space of a few seconds, he had gone from unknown rookie to military legend. But somehow, he sensed that the real surprises were still to come. Marcus woke before dawn to the sound of helicopters approaching the base. Williams was already up, adjusting his uniform and checking his gear with unusual care. "Those would be our visitors," Williams said as Marcus sat up in his sleeping bag. "Major General Morrison is flying in from Kabul, along with some people from the Pentagon." Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Major General Morrison was the overall commander of U.S. forces in Afghanistan. He had never imagined that his shot would attract attention from such high levels of command. "What do they want with me, Sergeant?" Williams helped Marcus organize his gear. "When someone breaks what might be a world record for a combat sniper kill, especially someone with your limited experience, it raises questions. Good questions, but questions nonetheless." Rodriguez appeared at their position, looking unusually serious. "Chen, you need to get cleaned up and report to the command post in 30 minutes. And Chen?" He paused. "Whatever they ask you, just tell the truth. Your shot yesterday was either the luckiest fluke in military history or you're something special. Either way, they need to know which one it is." As Marcus prepared for the meeting, he reflected on Rodriguez's words. He knew the shot hadn't been luck. During training, his instructors had noted his exceptional natural ability, but they had also warned him that combat would test him in ways that no training could simulate. The command post was bustling with activity when Marcus arrived. Officers he didn't recognize were studying maps and reports, while communication equipment hummed with increased radio traffic. Williams gestured for him to wait outside the main briefing area. "Private Chen?" A tall colonel approached him. "I'm Colonel Harrison, from the Pentagon's Marksmanship Training Unit. I understand you made quite an impressive shot yesterday." Marcus came to attention. "Yes, sir. I was just doing my job, sir." Harrison smiled. "At ease, Private. I'm not here to intimidate you. I'm here because what you accomplished yesterday has implications beyond just eliminating a high-value target." Before Marcus could ask what he meant, the briefing room door opened and Major General Morrison emerged, followed by several other high-ranking officers. Morrison was a compact man with graying hair and intense eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Private Chen, I presume?" Morrison extended his hand. "I'm General Morrison. Congratulations on yesterday's achievement. I understand it was quite remarkable." "Thank you, sir. I was just following orders and applying my training." Morrison nodded approvingly. "Good answer. Walk with me, Private." They stepped outside the command post, away from the bustle of activity. Morrison clasped his hands behind his back as they walked slowly along the base perimeter. "Chen, in 37 years of military service, I've seen exceptional soldiers accomplish extraordinary things. What you did yesterday falls into a very rare category." Morrison paused, studying the young sniper. "The question I need answered is whether yesterday was an anomaly or if it represents your actual capability level." Marcus considered his response carefully. "Sir, I believe it represents my capability. During training, my instructors noted that I had unusual natural ability for long-range shooting. Yesterday felt like the natural application of everything I had learned." "Your training records support that assessment," Morrison continued. "Top of your class in every marksmanship category. Highest scores ever recorded at the sniper school for environmental calculations and ballistic computations. Your instructors recommended you for advanced training, but you requested immediate combat deployment instead. Why?" Marcus felt the familiar tightness in his chest when discussing his motivation. "My brother, sir, Staff Sergeant David Chen, killed by an IED 2 years ago. Hassan's organization was responsible. I wanted to get into the fight as quickly as possible. Morrison nodded with understanding. Revenge is a powerful motivator, but it can also cloud judgment. Yesterday, did personal feelings affect your decision to take such a challenging shot? No, sir. Once I was behind the rifle, it was purely professional. The personal motivation got me to that moment, but training and skill made the shot. They continued walking in silence for a few moments. Morrison seemed to be evaluating not just Marcus's words, but his entire demeanor. Private, what I'm about to tell you doesn't leave this conversation until I authorize it. Your shot yesterday wasn't just remarkable. It was historically significant. At 3,050 meters, you may have made the longest confirmed kill in combat sniper history. Marcus felt his knees go weak. Sir, I had no idea. The current record, depending on how you calculate it, stands at around 2,800 meters. Your shot, if properly verified and documented, would eclipse that by a significant margin. Morrison stopped walking and faced Marcus directly. This creates both opportunities and challenges for you, Private. Before Morrison could elaborate, Colonel Harrison approached them with a folder full of documents. General, we've completed the preliminary verification of yesterday's engagement. Satellite data confirms the range at 3,052 meters. Environmental conditions have been independently verified. The shot is legitimate. Morrison accepted the folder and quickly reviewed its contents. Outstanding. Colonel Harrison, brief Private Chen on what happens next. Harrison opened another folder and pulled out several official-looking documents. Chen, you're being temporarily assigned to a special evaluation program. We need to determine the full extent of your capabilities and figure out how to best utilize your skills. Marcus felt overwhelmed by the rapid developments. Sir, does this mean I'm leaving my team? Temporarily, yes, Harrison replied. You'll be flown to a specialized training facility where we can properly assess and develop your abilities. This isn't punishment. It's recognition of exceptional talent that needs to be properly understood and employed. Williams appeared at Marcus's side. The team leader had obviously been briefed on the situation. Chen, this is a huge opportunity, Williams said. Advanced training with the military's best instructors, working with equipment and techniques that most snipers never see. You'd be crazy not to take it. Marcus looked at his team leader with concern. What about you guys? I don't want to abandon my team, Morrison interjected. Private, your team will be fine. What you need to understand is that soldiers with your level of natural ability come along once in a generation. The military has an obligation to develop that talent to its fullest potential, both for your benefit and for national security. Rodriguez joined the group, carrying Marcus's gear. Kid, they're offering you a chance to become something special. Your brother would be proud of what you accomplished yesterday, and he'd want you to take advantage of every opportunity to make an even bigger difference. The mention of his brother solidified Marcus's decision. David had always encouraged him to pursue excellence and never settle for mediocrity. Sir, I accept the assignment. When do I leave? Harrison checked his watch. Transport helicopter arrives in 2 hours. You'll be at the training facility by this evening. As the group dispersed to handle the logistics of Marcus's transfer, Williams pulled him aside for a private conversation. Chen, I want you to understand something. What happened to you yesterday was special, but it's also going to change your life in ways you can't imagine right now. Marcus nodded, still processing everything that was happening. Williams continued. You're going to meet people and learn things that will challenge everything you think you know about being a sniper. Stay humble, keep learning, and remember that natural talent only takes you so far. The rest is hard work and dedication. The next 2 hours passed quickly as Marcus prepared for his departure. News of his assignment had spread throughout the base, and soldiers kept approaching him to offer congratulations and ask questions about the shot. Captain Miller, the base commander, called Marcus to his office for a final briefing. Private, You've brought a lot of positive attention to this unit and to the entire operation here, Miller said. I've received calls from officers all the way up to the Pentagon, all wanting to know about the rookie who made the impossible shot. Marcus felt the weight of expectation settling on his shoulders. Sir, I hope I can live up to all the attention. Miller smiled. Son, you already have. Yesterday you eliminated one of our most wanted targets with a shot that experts are calling impossible. Today you're being selected for elite training that will make you even more effective. Just remember where you came from and the people who helped get you here. As departure time approached, Marcus said goodbye to his teammates. Rodriguez shook his hand firmly. Chen, when you come back from this training, you're going to be a different kind of sniper. Don't forget to teach us what you learn. Williams's farewell was more personal. Kid, you've got a gift. Use it wisely, and it will take you places you never imagined. Waste it, and it will become a burden that follows you forever. The helicopter that arrived to transport Marcus was not a standard military transport. It was a specialized aircraft with advanced communication equipment and what appeared to be civilian contractors among the crew. As Marcus climbed aboard, Colonel Harrison handed him a sealed envelope. Don't open this until you reach the training facility, Harrison instructed. It contains information about the program you're entering and the people you'll be working with. The helicopter lifted off, carrying Marcus away from the mountain base where he had made his historic shot. As they flew south toward Kabul, he watched the rugged landscape pass below and wondered what kind of training could possibly improve upon what he had already accomplished. The flight took several hours, with 2 refueling stops at military bases that Marcus didn't recognize. Each stop involved new security protocols and personnel who seemed to know exactly who he was and why he was traveling. As the helicopter began its final approach to their destination, Marcus looked out the window and was surprised by what he saw. Instead of a typical military training facility, the compound below looked more like a university campus, with modern buildings surrounded by extensive training ranges and what appeared to be advanced research facilities. The helicopter touched down on a helipad marked with symbols Marcus didn't recognize. As he gathered his gear, a woman in civilian clothes approached the aircraft. Private Chen? I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell from the Advanced Marksmanship Research Division. Welcome to Camp Precision. Marcus climbed down from the helicopter, still holding the sealed envelope from Colonel Harrison. Dr. Mitchell, I have to admit, I'm not sure what I'm getting into here. Dr. Mitchell smiled as she led him away from the helicopter. That's perfectly normal. Most soldiers arrive here with the same confusion. What you need to know is that this facility exists to study and develop the most exceptional marksmen in military history. As they walked toward the main building, Marcus noticed other soldiers training on ranges that featured targets at distances he had never seen before. Some were using rifles he couldn't identify, and all seemed to be operating at a level of precision that was almost supernatural. Dr. Mitchell, are all these soldiers like me? I mean, do they all have unusual natural ability? In various ways, yes. Some have exceptional eyesight, others have perfect hand-eye coordination, and a few have the kind of mathematical mind that can calculate complex ballistics instinctively. She paused and looked at Marcus. You're here because yesterday you demonstrated a combination of all these abilities at a level we rarely see. They entered the main building, which was filled with sophisticated equipment and monitoring systems. Scientists and military personnel worked side by side, analyzing data and developing new training techniques. Dr. Mitchell led Marcus to a comfortable office where several people were waiting to meet him. A general he didn't recognize sat behind the desk, while 2 civilians in suits stood nearby. Private Chen, the general said, rising to shake hands. I'm General Thompson, commander of the Special Operations Research Division. Please, have a seat. Marcus sat down, still clutching the sealed envelope. General Thompson noticed it immediately. You can open that now, Private. It contains your official orders and some background information on our program. Marcus broke the seal and began reading. The documents described a research program designed to identify and develop soldiers with exceptional natural abilities in marksmanship, reconnaissance, and tactical decision-making. The program was classified at the highest levels and had been operational for over a decade. "Sir, this says the program has been studying soldiers like me for years. How many others have gone through this?" One of the civilians stepped forward. "Mr. Chen, I'm Robert Hayes from the Defense Department's Advanced Research Division. To answer your question, you're the 47th soldier to be selected for this program since its inception." Marcus felt both honored and nervous about joining such an exclusive group. "What happened to the other 46? General Thompson answered this time. "They became some of the most effective special operations personnel in military history. Several have been awarded the Medal of Honor for actions that officially never happened. Others have prevented terrorist attacks that the public will never know about." Dr. Mitchell opened a file containing Marcus's training records and assessment data. "Private, your test scores and yesterday's performance suggest you have the potential to exceed even the achievements of previous program participants." Marcus looked around the room at the serious faces studying him. "What exactly do you want me to do?" General Thompson leaned forward. "We want to find out just how good you can become. Yesterday you made a shot that most experts would have called impossible. We want to discover what else you're capable of achieving." As the briefing continued, Marcus began to understand that his life as a soldier was about to change dramatically. The rookie sniper who had made one lucky shot was about to discover abilities he never knew he possessed. But first, he would have to prove that yesterday's achievement was just the beginning of what he could accomplish. 6 weeks later, Marcus stood on the most advanced shooting range he had ever seen. The target was 4,200 meters away, nearly a mile distant, positioned on a hillside that required him to account for elevation changes, multiple wind patterns, and atmospheric conditions that would challenge even the most sophisticated ballistic computers. Dr. Mitchell observed from behind him, monitoring readings from sensors attached to his body that measured everything from his heart rate to the micro tremors in his hands. General Thompson watched through high-powered binoculars. While a team of scientists recorded data on equipment Marcus was only beginning to understand. "Chen, this shot represents the absolute limit of what current ballistic science considers possible," Dr. Mitchell said quietly. "If you can make this shot, you'll redefine what we understand about human marksmanship capability." Marcus adjusted his position behind the experimental rifle he had been training with for the past month. The weapon was unlike anything in the standard military inventory, featuring advanced optics, computer-assisted calculations, and a barrel design that maximized accuracy at extreme ranges. But despite all the technological advantages, the shot still depended on his ability to read conditions, calculate variables, and execute with perfect precision. No computer could replace the instinctive understanding of ballistics that had made his 3,050-meter shot possible. "Wind at your position is steady at 6 miles per hour from the east," called out Master Sergeant Rodriguez. Not the Rodriguez from his original team, but Maria Rodriguez, one of the most accomplished female snipers in military history and now his primary instructor. Marcus made fine adjustments to his scope, accounting for the complex environmental conditions. The 6 weeks of intensive training had expanded his understanding of advanced ballistics far beyond what he had learned in basic sniper school. Dr. Mitchell had explained that Marcus possessed a rare combination of genetic gifts that made extreme marksmanship possible. His visual processing speed was in the top 1% of the population, allowing him to track tiny details at vast distances. His mathematical intuition let him perform complex calculations almost instantaneously. Most importantly, he had what the scientists called proprioceptive awareness, an unconscious understanding of his body's position and movement that translated into exceptional shooting stability. "Chen, remember what we've learned about atmospheric pressure at this altitude. Master Sergeant Rodriguez instructed. The air density is 15% lower than at sea level, which affects bullet trajectory in ways that normal ballistic tables don't account for. Marcus nodded and made another adjustment. The past 6 weeks had been the most intensive learning experience of his life. Each day brought new challenges designed to push his abilities beyond their apparent limits. He had learned to shoot accurately while exhausted, stressed, and under simulated combat conditions that were more realistic than anything he had experienced in Afghanistan. He had trained with experimental ammunition designed specifically for extreme-range shots, and he had worked with ballistic computers that could calculate trajectories with unprecedented precision. But more than technical skills, he had learned to trust his instincts in ways that transcended conscious thought. The best shots, he had discovered, happened when his analytical mind stepped aside and let his natural abilities take control. Target reference confirmed at 4,187 meters, announced Dr. Mitchell, reading from her electronic rangefinder. Atmospheric conditions are optimal. This is your shot, Chen. Through his scope, Marcus could barely make out the target, a human silhouette positioned behind a replica of the type of cover that terrorist leaders typically used. At this distance, the target appeared smaller than a pinhead, requiring him to aim at a mathematical point rather than a visible mark. Marcus began his breathing pattern, settling into the meditative state that had become second nature during his training. His heart rate slowed, and the micro-tremors in his hands virtually disappeared. General Thompson spoke quietly into his radio, coordinating with observation posts along the bullet's flight path. All stations, this is Thunder Base. Shot preparation is complete. All personnel maintain observation and prepare to track. The past 6 weeks had revealed that Marcus's achievement in Afghanistan was not a lucky shot, but rather the first glimpse of abilities that were almost unprecedented in military history. Only 2 other soldiers in the program's history had demonstrated similar potential, and both had gone on to accomplish missions that remained classified at the highest levels. Marcus made his final scope adjustment and found his natural respiratory pause. Through the scope, he visualized the bullet's path, accounting for every variable he had learned to calculate. Wind drift, atmospheric pressure, temperature gradients, the Earth's rotation, even the gravitational effects of nearby mountains, all became part of a complex equation that his mind solved instinctively. The experimental rifle fired with a sound unlike any weapon Marcus had used before. The .50 caliber round left the barrel at nearly 3,000 feet per second, beginning a journey that would take over 4 seconds to complete. Marcus maintained his position, watching through the scope as seconds ticked by. At this distance, he would see the impact before hearing it, and the margin for error was essentially 0. Flight time 4.2 seconds, Master Sergeant Rodriguez announced, tracking the shot with her spotting scope. Through the advanced optics, Marcus watched the target area with intense focus. At 4 seconds, he saw a tiny puff of dust exactly where the target had been positioned. "Impact!" Rodriguez shouted. "Clean hit! Target is down!" The observation posts along the bullet's path confirmed the hit with increasing excitement. Dr. Mitchell checked her instruments and looked up with amazement. Confirmed kill at 4,187 meters. Shot placement was within 2 inches of perfect center mass. General Thompson lowered his binoculars and approached Marcus with an expression of profound respect. "Son, what you just accomplished will be studied by ballistics experts for decades to come. You've just made the longest confirmed precision shot in human history." Marcus safed his weapon and sat back, still processing what had happened. The shot had felt natural, almost inevitable, like the mathematical conclusion of an equation he had been solving his entire life. Dr. Mitchell was already analyzing data from her sensors. "Marcus, your physiological readings during the shot were extraordinary. Heart rate of 58 beats per minute, which is lower than most people achieve while sleeping. Hand tremor virtually 0. brain activity patterns consistent with a meditative state while simultaneously performing complex calculations. Master Sergeant Rodriguez clapped Marcus on the shoulder. Chen, in 20 years of military service, I've never seen anything like what you just did. You didn't just break the record, you shattered it. As word of the achievement spread through the facility, Marcus found himself surrounded by scientists and military personnel who wanted to understand exactly how he had accomplished the impossible. General Thompson called for quiet and addressed the gathered group. Ladies and gentlemen, what we witnessed today represents a new standard for human marksmanship capability. Private Chen has demonstrated that with proper training and natural ability, precision shooting at previously impossible distances is achievable. Dr. Mitchell approached Marcus with a folder containing his assessment results from the 6-week program. Marcus, you should understand what these tests have revealed about your capabilities. She opened the folder and began reading from the evaluation summary. Overall assessment: subject demonstrates exceptional natural ability in visual processing, mathematical calculation, and proprioceptive awareness. Performance metrics exceed established standards for elite marksmanship by factors ranging from 3 to 7 times normal parameters. Marcus listened with amazement as Dr. Mitchell continued. Recommendation: subject should be immediately advanced to classified special operations training. Estimated capability ceiling: unknown, but likely far beyond current testing parameters. General Thompson took the folder and reviewed the recommendations. Private Chen, based on your performance here, you're being offered the opportunity to join a very select group of soldiers. The missions you would undertake cannot be discussed in detail, but they involve threats to national security that require capabilities exactly like what you've demonstrated. Marcus thought about the path that had led him to this moment. 6 weeks ago, he had been a rookie sniper, making what everyone thought was a lucky shot. Now, military experts were telling him he possessed abilities that could serve his country in ways he had never imagined. Sir, what would this mean for my military career? It would mean that you would no longer have a traditional military career, General Thompson replied honestly. You would become part of a special operations unit that officially doesn't exist. Your service record would be classified, your missions would never be publicly acknowledged, and your achievements would be known only to a very small number of people. Marcus considered the implications. His original goal had been to honor his brother's memory and make a difference in the fight against terrorism. This opportunity would allow him to do both on a scale far beyond what he had ever envisioned. But it would also mean leaving behind the traditional military life he had planned and entering a world of secrecy and isolation that few soldiers ever experienced. Master Sergeant Rodriguez seemed to understand his dilemma. Chen, I went through this same decision process 8 years ago. I can tell you that the work is challenging, dangerous, and sometimes lonely. But you'll have the opportunity to prevent threats that could harm thousands of innocent people. Dr. Mitchell added her perspective. Marcus, your abilities are so rare that you have a responsibility to use them for the greatest possible good. The program exists specifically to identify and develop soldiers like you. Marcus looked around at the faces of the people who had become his mentors over the past 6 weeks. They had helped him understand capabilities he never knew he possessed and had shown him possibilities he had never imagined. General, I accept the assignment. When do I begin? General Thompson smiled with satisfaction. Your advanced training begins immediately. Dr. Mitchell will brief you on the next phase of your development. As the group began to disperse, Marcus reflected on the incredible journey that had started with a single shot in the mountains of Afghanistan. The rookie sniper who had been trying to prove himself to his teammates had discovered that his true potential was far beyond anything anyone had imagined. Dr. Mitchell approached him with another folder, this one marked with security classifications he had never seen before. Marcus, what you're about to learn will challenge everything you think you understand about military operations and national security. Are you ready? Marcus nodded with determination. His brother David had always told him to embrace challenges and never settle for ordinary achievements. Today, he was taking that advice to its ultimate conclusion. "I'm ready, Dr. Mitchell. Let's see what else I can do." As they walked toward the classified briefing area, Marcus realized that his remarkable shot at 3,050 meters had been just the beginning. The experts who had been frozen in shock by his achievement were about to discover that their amazement was premature. The rookie sniper was about to become something entirely new, a precision marksman whose capabilities would redefine what was possible in the defense of his country. And somewhere in the mountains of Afghanistan, his fallen brother would have been proud to know that his sacrifice had inspired achievements beyond imagination. The record-breaking shot that had made Marcus famous was already becoming a footnote in a story that was just beginning. The real question wasn't how he had made the impossible shot, but how many more impossible things he would accomplish in the missions that lay ahead. Marcus Chen was no longer a rookie. He was becoming a legend,